Ahoy. So I just wanted to go over what I need to do to get this bike ready for next year. Um, I did end on a crash. You can see I got some dirt up in the front. I ripped my sweet Renthal grips. I'll have to replace that. And got to tighten the rear fender. But otherwise, nothing is bent or tweaked or really broken. The front forks are leaking, so I got to change the fork seals and the fork oil. Going to change the brake fluid and the brake pads, but I'm gonna keep the discs look like they're in good shape. There's no weird marks. There's no um, there's no groove on them. Shoot, oh, I gotta put this cardboard back. So carefuling. All right, I'm gonna change this 48 tooth rear sprocket to a 52. So it actually wore really well. I'm surprised. Um, I think part of the reason it's wearing well is the belt here. Um, it's not completely rigid. I think it has just enough give to take some of the impact out of the drive line of the bike. And with this cover off, 3 screws, look how accessible this is. I mean, got my whole hand in there. And these all feel nice. No weird clicks, no movement. So yeah, when you get the tire, so to take the rear tire off the bike, you don't, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't even need to take the chain apart. Like that chain is still still intact. So you could just loosen the hardware and the rear tire will roll forward and the chain still won't come off. You could pull the axle out and uh, it'll come off then because it'll be so slack and loose. So yeah, and you could put it back on the same way. So if you really don't want to mess with the chain or you don't have the tools, uh, it's possible to keep the chain like that and just put it back on. So I had bad front wheel bearings, so you can see there's nothing in there. So to get those out, first of all, they're the same size and model as a Suron Light B, so or Light BX, whatever it's called. So they're 61 804, and you're gonna need 2 of them. This one is knackered. That's why I changed them. Yeah, this one feels bad. This one feels nice and smooth, quiet, and it doesn't feel gritty. You can't. The bearing should only ever feel smooth. You shouldn't really feel anything with your finger, and you definitely shouldn't hear anything. So it's in your tire like this. So that's just a spacer in the middle. And okay, we'll roll forward. So to get these out, so it's in your tire like this. So to start with, I put the tire up on its side. And so here's your tire up on its side. This thing is in your in your wheel. You could get a socket, like a socket you would take a bolt off with, and that's just exactly smaller than the outside of the bearing, diameter of the bearing. And then tap that down with something. Put the socket on the bearing and tap, 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 and just a little bit. You're not going to tap this bearing all the way down through the tire. To start, you just tap this bearing down a little bit, and that will, move this bearing out. But you're going to create a little bit of play. So after I tap this one down, you could also, since I know I'm going to replace it, you could, instead of using a socket, you could tap on each side, just go in a pattern and walk it down. You don't ever want to tap one side all the way. Let's go a little bit here, a little bit there, tap, 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 tap. Create a little bit of space so you'll be able to put your finger inside your wheel and you could feel this move a little bit. And then that just gives you okay, hey buddy. And that just gives you enough space then I took this flathead screwdriver. I wrapped it so I wouldn't scratch anything. And then I tapped evenly again, walking out the bearing. I tapped out this bearing until it literally just falls out of the tire. Then this will fall out of the tire on its own. Then you flip the tire around and you'll have just one bearing in there. And you could easily reach down and tap it out with whatever tool you want. So, and then putting it back in, you would start with, you would start by putting the bearing in on this one side, evenly tap it in. Then you could put this in behind it and tap the other bearing in and kind of trap this in the middle, and then tap the bearings toward each other until they're evenly spaced on both sides. And then that's it. You've changed your wheel bearings. So you see this, it'll fall right through there. So yeah, there's really nothing to it. Really nothing scary about changing the wheel bearings. And you just don't want to scratch the inside of that. So yeah, I really would like to get a replacement of this in aluminum. So I bet you they do sell something. So yeah, Sur-Ron Light B parts, really super easy to work on these bikes. And just gotta change the fork seals. All right, guys, have a good weekend. Peace.